Hi all, and welcome to another episode of Cybeers. Today we're going to be talking about a relevant, timely, interesting topic, and that is the use of AI in cybersecurity. We're going to talk about how it's being used for both on an offensive perspective and a defensive perspective. And as a cybersecurity community, how are we going to find that blend of making sure that we are trying to keep ahead of the threat actors, but then also using it in our pen testing and offensive team to find the gaps in the same way the threat actors are? And how are we really going to prevent the attacks the threat actors are finding now before we, as defenders, have the time? So I'm joined by who feels like almost now a piece of the furniture, Craig Martin, Head of Incident Response. Welcome.
Thank you.
Brad Morgan, very timely for you to be here as Head of Managed Security Services.
Yeah, thank you. I haven't been here for a while, but looking forward to this one.
It's been a little while. And definitely the dinosaur piece of the furniture, Richard Grainger, Head of Digital Forensics. You're going to be a very interesting person to talk to.
Thanks for having me again.
First of all, it is Cybeers, and it wouldn't be Cybeers unless we had a couple of beers. And Rich, I'm going to go through to you first. What have you got?
I have the Rock Hopper West Coast IPA from Capital Brewing Co.
Do you know much about Capital Brewing Co?
I think they're in Canberra. That's about it.
Yeah, Jack Rutherford, if you're watching, sure you're watching. They're from his neck of the woods, Capital. It's a nice brewery. We've done some reviews from them before, but not the IPA.
I'll test it out.
Yeah. Brad, what have you got?
I've got an old favourite, the better beer, but I've gone for the ginger beer. So something a little bit different. It's a little bit cool outside today. So I thought, why not go a little bit of a ginger beer?
Let's go cool ginger beer. Isn't that normally for warmer climates?
Yeah, but...
You've just confused yourself there.
I have. Look, I'm a little bit different. I actually like a ginger beer on a cooler day, so why not?
A little bit different. We're in cybersecurity. We are all very different.
Yep.
And then finally, Craig, you've got a very colourful can there.
I do. True to form, really. So a mountain culture is what I've got today. It's the Neon Splice.
Neon Splice.
Yes.
You do love a bit of a sour, something
the
a little
juice
bit different.
trip.
That thing looks like a hula hoop that kids were using at school.
Look, I think I was drinking this back in school.
And then I'm trying to be a bit responsible at the moment. If you watch Cybeers often, you'll understand I've been on a bit of a kick. Kicked the alcohol there for a little while, but I'm having a halfie from Better Beer. I didn't even realise they did 2.1s, 2.1 ultra low carb. Grainger, you got me onto Better Beers.
I haven't tried that one.
I don't have high hopes.
It's ultra low.
I don't have high hopes because honestly, why wouldn't I just drink water?
It's got 2.1, so it's better than nothing.
Yeah, but ultra low carb, ultra low.
You're going to have to find out.
Well, we're going to find out. Gentlemen, cheers.
Cheers.
Order this. If you're into your halfies, if you're into something low, I could have 10 of them. That's a good mid strength. I enjoy that. Grainger,
Nice.
how's your IPA?
Delicious. Yeah, really tasty.
I imagine that's going to be better out of a glass. Now, some regular watchers will actually tell you must drink that out of a glass.
I'm going to be disappointing a lot of people today then. Next time, I'll bring a glass.
Indubitably. Brad, how's your ginger beer?
Look, it's no Matzo's, but it's nice. Just a nice little hint of ginger, but I prefer it a little bit stronger. So it's nice though.
Bit more sugar in there.
Less sugar. This one's very low sugar.
Yeah, so you need more sugar.
I need more sugar. Yep.
Mr. Martin, your neon green.
Yeah, it's just like a nice little hazy, a bit of that sort of fruity flavour. Not like overly sour or anything like that, which I've done before. Yeah, just like a nice little feather on the way down. It's nice.
Let's get into the real topic here. We've spent the last 10 minutes talking about beers, and that's not what Cybeers is all about. It's an interesting and great topic, and finding some good beers that we recommend. Again, Better Beer, the ultra low. Brad, interesting topic, and we're going to go straight for the important part here. Mythos.
Yep.
Everyone wants to know about it. I wrote an opinion piece about Mythos now a couple of weeks ago.
Yep.
And everyone came out and said, that was great. That's exactly what we're looking for.
Yep.
Now what?
Yeah, look, I mean, I think if I look at it through a defensive lens, Mythos is going to compact the time from CVE discovery to exploitation. We've been seeing that time decreasing heavily over the last few years anyway. If you look at the trend of CVEs published over the last 15 years, like the growth in the last 3 years has been extreme. I think Mythos is really going to extend that, sort of supercharge that piece. But where the concern for me is now, a patch comes out, people are able to run Mythos across that and then go and start trying to exploit where people haven't been able to get that patch right.
Haven't we seen this for plenty of years though? And
we have.
We saw Proxy Shell. We've talked about that on Cybeers to death, so we're not going to go and talk about what Proxy Shell is again and again and again because it feels like it's our main example. But Proxy Shell was presented that morning and was exploited that night. So really, what is Mythos going to change? Or not just Mythos, any frontier model?
Yeah, I think they're going to change the pace of exploitation. It might take your initial access brokers out of the picture a little bit for some of the ransomware gangs. They're going to be able to go and maybe even augment that. You know, there's a lot of talk of organizations out there laying off staff because they don't need them to do some of that foundational work. Maybe initial access brokers is one of those things in the cybercrime side of things.
Rich, do you agree on that one? I see initial access brokers still playing a big part here.
Yeah, I think they will. I do see Mythos and these AI tools being a huge problem for companies in terms of being breached. I do think we're a while away from that. I think that a lot of organizations are really focused on like, oh, Mythos is out. What are we going to do? What are we going to do? What do we do? Yet we had how many ransomwares last month where threat actor got in through VPN with no MFA. So I think there's like people need to be aware of it. They need to start planning for it, but they also really need to make sure the basic hygiene's in place as well.
But are these frontier models not just going to speed up the discovery of the VPN, faster cracking of passwords? So we know the basic stuff is the problem. Isn't Mythos just going to speed up exploitation?
I think it will. And I think where I suspect a lot of it's going to come and stem from is from nation states, the ones that actually have the real big budgets to be able to research this stuff. Because I know from Mythos, like a lot of vulnerabilities were found, but a lot of tokens, a lot of money was spent to be able to find those vulnerabilities as well. And nation states are the one that are going to be able to do that. But your ransomware gangs, your initial access brokers, they're probably going to be a little bit slow on the uptick. They're going to be using the tried and true methods that we've seen for the last couple of years that have been effective and paid off.
I just want to ask a question though. If you look at Claude Code or Claude Code work, right, that will go and call agents to achieve multiple pieces of work at a time. So is there not something there that thinking maybe it's going to try all of those authentications and speed that up, that we're seeing what quantum is going to be sort of almost at a dial-up speed, that it's going to be able to go and test all of that at scale a lot faster than what their existing tooling can?
Yeah.
Are we not already seeing that with Claude AI, Craig, where it used to take so long to crack passwords that now you don't even need Claude Cowork or Claude Code. You're just doing Claude AI, where now you can do password cracking at light speed versus having to have rainbow tables and having to have GPUs in the past.
Yeah, like the real utility of tools like Mythos or just AI in general is going to be, I have a very bound problem and I know there's a solution. So one of the things that we've seen coming through from like the CVE space into exploitation is there's always been a race to get the POC. So who's going to be the first one to figure out why is this a critical vulnerability? How do we exploit it? So we know that there is a specific problem and we can try and target and chase that. Or somebody comes out and says, we do have a POC. We know it's exploitable. Okay, well now let's just throw a couple of grand of tokens at it and see what, like that. When we narrow down the problem, the speed from CVE to exploitation is going to reduce drastically.
Do you think the threat actors are just sitting on a pile of research at the moment? We've talked about Citrix Bleed many times. We're past number 1, we're past number 2. So threat actors have had access to NetScalers for a long time.
Oh yeah.
Do you think they've now pulled them apart? They've got everything they can get out of it at the moment, but then once these frontier models are openly available, they'll just go and point that frontier model at that?
Someone's just waiting for the next big thing. There are going to be criminals out there that have a wealth of resources waiting to use at the next big vulnerability, the next big exploit.
Do they need to wait for the next big vulnerability, or have they already found the next big vulnerability?
Well, that's the thing, right?
Or
Like,
they might not know that they found the next big vulnerability, or maybe they're 90% of the way through it. They're just waiting on that last little piece to tip them across the edge.
exactly right. Like there is someone out there that's just waiting to capitalize. Like that is how these sort of groups work, is that they're financially motivated and they're looking for big paydays.
I think you touched on something there. You mentioned Citrix Bleed 1, Citrix Bleed 2. You look at Avanti when they were done, Sonic Walls, a few of the others. Right, so many of those vulnerabilities are, okay, we fixed A, and then the next month or even the next week, there's B, and it's code blocks that are adjacent, right? It is basically threat actors then go and look at it and go, okay, cool, we know that was vulnerable, and they'll go and scour the code. AI is just going to speed that up. It allows them to go, this is where we know vulnerabilities have been in the last 3 years on these products. Go and look for the same pattern throughout the entire code base.
We've seen it with, like, a couple of years ago, we had a ransomware where it was for a Mitel, and it was like one group in particular were the ones that found this vulnerability. There was no POC widely available, and they planted backdoors in many organizations, and now it's opening up the door for a lot of other groups, individuals to be like, right, well, we're all going to try and find a vulnerability in this thing now.
100%.
Do you think it now makes it more important for speed to compromise the organization first, get persistence, plant persistence, and we're going to see more of that where organizations will be compromised at scale, where they will then just be like, right, we're going to go rip through everything, plant persistence, come back selectively over time and use the persistence, not the original vulnerability. Yep. We saw it happen with Citrix Bleed, and we've actively done ransomwares where we see this happen. Do you think that happens now as the default and faster?
I think it will be very attractive for ransomware groups to mass exploit something, leave a back door, and they've got limited resources as well, right, in terms of personnel to actually take on the next step of the engagement from their eyes and, try and escalate privileges, identify where the file servers are.
Yeah.
So if they can plant backdoors in 50 ASX listed organizations, they'll do it, and then they'll just go through it one by one.
That scares me. That's why I'm taking that big breath. But then Rich has just said, then we'll need Privesk and lateral movement, and we'll still need those limited resources.
Yep.
We know that as a team, our offensive team are already building models and using models to do this, that once they're past the front door, once they're in the house, just going and ransacking it very quickly.
So, as you guys know, one of the hardest things for us as defenders to detect is LOLBAS, right? So why not train, if I'm a threat actor, I would be training all of my agents to go and drop it into an environment, leverage as much LOLBAS as possible, let it run low and slow, and just go. Like, you don't need a human there to do this. Like, it is basically go, find, run, exploit, and then come back and tell me when you're there, or even you plan that next phase.
But why do I want it to run low and slow when I've got a frontier model that can go and rip through the whole organization, exfil data, encrypt everything within 20 minutes? Why do I now want to be low and slow?
If you can go that fast, I completely agree.
But frontier models can.
They can, yeah. And I guess it is going to help them. We've said it before with some of the ransomwares. If they'd known the environments they were in, they would have better timed and better targeted their attacks and that sort of thing. Yeah. And I think it will help them understand the environments they're in to have mass impact at the worst possible time for those organizations. So it might pivot a little bit how they operate, but I think it will really speed up that attack chain as well.
We see this play out in real life already. I mean, we know what some of the MO is of these groups is they get into an asset and then they try and figure out who owns that asset, who the company is.
Yep.
Is this going to be something that's valuable to me? And in the last 3 months, I've already seen threat actors that are parsing data sets to look for weak points, to look for, the soft underbelly of an organization that's going to cause the most pain. I know they're using LLMs to parse exfiltrated data. Imagine if you could drop something into 50 client environments, and then you had a tool go through to say, in 5 minutes' time, this organization is going to be your best target because of who they are, the size of their environment, the controls they've got in place. You're going to be able to go in and hit them in minutes.
And what events are coming up.
Exactly right.
Impact.
So you go and hit an organization that we know is going to have a big September or a big June, and you're just sitting there and waiting until that month, and then you go. And it's just novel problems require some novel solutions. And if you can use that power to say, when am I going to be at the highest percentage of making a financial gain? That's what these tools can do.
Craig, we've had a lot of this discussion of, are we expecting we're going to see a lot more victims with a lower ransom payment, or are we expecting to see less victims with a higher ransom payment? Take a guess.
It's both, to be honest. So you're going to have your candle makers making candles, and they're going to be going really, really high volume, low payment. And I see that right now. There are threat actors that are already doing it. They used to ask for 250K. Now they're asking for 60K. Like, we see that.
And are we paying?
There's still, you go and ask people, and I'm still hearing 20, 30% payment rates. Like, it's still there.
Before you carry on through that, I want to dial it back. So if we go back 8-9 years ago, right, script kiddies, right, going and DDoSing people and things like that.
Hey, that was fun.
Yeah, like it was easy, right? So many of us started that way.
What else do you do in Bunbury?
Exactly. I have a teenage son, right? And my fear is, if he gets the wrong influences, he can go and leverage AI to get up to all kinds of trouble.
But
right?
already can.
You're talking about shiny hunters.
Yeah, so they can go.
You're absolutely talking about shiny hunters.
They can go on ransomware, but they don't care how much. Like, to them, 10 grand's a lot. So they're the run rate, right? They're the ones that are just going to be going through that, compared to what you were going to say next, which is the big stuff, which is the really.
And to be honest, the big stuff is made up of those sort of guys. Like, this is, you talk about the comm, which is, you have people in, first world or Eastern countries, or Western countries, sorry, and they are joining up for one big hit, and then they all disperse, and then they're trying to figure out what the hell do they do with $60 million worth of Bitcoin. Like, Shiny Hunters is a great example of a group that only really exists for the hit, and then they disperse, and they hit, and then they disperse. They're not really there as a persistent sort of group, and that's the big payday, and those numbers are going up.
I'm going to move off Shiny, because Shiny, you've got a history of phishing email, social engineering.
Yeah.
We've already seen the impacts of AI on BECs. I see your legacy models used for BECs.
Yeah.
I think we're going to see less BECs. This is my opinion. Less BEC, more drive-by, more opportunistic. How can I make more money? Organizations starting to protect against BEC. If you don't have phishing-resistant MFA turned on in M365, I'm going to stop talking about it, because we say it every Cybeers. If you don't have universal auto logging turned on, you've never logged in and looked at your Microsoft security score, I'm very sorry. Cybersecurity has basically almost left you behind. That is stuff you need to have done already. You now need to move on to have thought about how I'm protecting the edge. And Microsoft security score is something you should have gone up to 95 to 98 already. You're being left behind. And as a security practitioner, I'm done with yelling about it.
So I'm going to counter you there a little bit, because I think
controversial. Haven't had a controversial one for a little while.
What AI is going to introduce is the ability to really expose mass data sets. Mm-hmm. The only reason BECs exist is because, well, for the most part, they get detected. So you go in and you compromise 100 mailboxes and you take no action. You don't seek to perform payment redirection. And then you understand, what can I do now with the power of 100 mailboxes that I couldn't do before?
Yeah, but if I've got phishing-resistant MFA turned on with universal auto logging into an MDR that's being monitored 24/7 by a proper security team, your 100 mailboxes don't get compromised.
No, so that's 100% true.
But if I'm not patching my edge, I get compromised, because Mythos is going to, we're saying Mythos, but any frontier model is going to find that and is going to exploit quickly.
Yeah.
How many organizations do you know that are actually properly doing external asset management, vuln scanning, patching within an hour on their critically facing assets on a critical vulnerability? Yep. You know how many I know? 0.
Yep.
That is where we need to be.
These things have the potential to be that skeleton key, right? Because if they find the right vulnerability,
they don't even have to find the right vulnerability.
Yeah.
This is what we're saying.
They can just log in.
We're sitting here as security practitioners going, it has to be published as CVE first. It doesn't. they will find what we have historically called 0 days themselves, develop the POC, do mass exploitation, drop persistent access while we're still asleep. So, Rich.
And it's going to take a couple of days for everyone to figure out what's going on.
Yeah.
How do we protect against it?
Honestly, it's really hard, but I think a lot of it really does come down to defense in depth. Like if you have an edge device that gets compromised, we use FortiGate firewalls here. We see it all the time. That gets compromised. They end up in your network. All right, well, should your VPN range be able to IDP to a domain controller?
No.
Exactly. So they compromise your FortiGate. They're in your network. They can't do much. You got a flat network like a lot of people do. All right, do we have an EDR on there? Do we have that EDR alerts feeding into a SIEM or into a SOC?
So hang on, what you're telling me is get the basic hygiene stuff right that we've been banging on for 20 to 30 years about. Mind blown.
Again, this is defense in depth I know like we talk about it a lot, but honestly, it's really, really important for exactly things like this. Like people are worried about Mythos. It's like, what do you have in your environment that would detect someone in your network?
It's increasing the bar of what basic is now.
Is it?
You're like,
is it?
That's what realistically it should be. I don't think anybody's changed a thing.
Is it increasing the bar or is it picking the bar up and putting it on the table?
Well,
yeah.
On that, I want to go around on this because something that in your end user compute, it probably doesn't matter, but network monitoring, right? Because EDR, if we're using LOLBAS and that sort of thing, we're not getting blocked in server world or in desktop world. Are we looking at the network? You know, so many people have said network monitoring is dead. Is that now where we're going to start seeing some of that? You know, if they're already making it in through the perimeter, are we then actually having to go back and look at that telemetry where so many organizations have dropped that over the years? That might be controversial, but with my defensive hat on,
I want organizations to do the basics. Yeah. We have so many clients coming to us to say, I need a readiness assessment done for frontier models. You know what a readiness assessment is? Cybersecurity maturity assessment. I'm being a bit facetious here and I'm getting a bit annoyed about it. As you can tell, I'm passionate. I love this stuff. But it's because nothing has changed. Do good patching on the edge. Do external attack surface monitoring to actually understand what's there. Go and run DNS dumpster to find out what's out there. Go and put in DLP. Go and put identity access management. Have an EDR. Have an MDR that's being monitored and reported on by a credible cybersecurity company. We've banged on many, 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 many times about MSPs doing cyber. You are now in a world, if your MSP is doing your cyber, you are going to have an issue unless they are specialist cybersecurity providers. I don't think anyone here is going to disagree with me.
No, the only thing I'll add in there that I don't think you touched on is asset discovery. Know what assets you have.
You can't protect what you don't know.
That'd be the dream, Brad. The amount of times we walk into an engagement and like, can we get an asset list? And
day one, there's 5 assets, and then day 2, there's 17. Where do those extra 12 assets come from?
Well, we're doing a response now, and it's not even using a frontier model, but the organization had EDR. They had MDR. They had the tools in place, but the MDR provider wasn't looking at the ESXi hosts. The threat actors are already smart enough to know what the defenders are looking at and what they're going to try and hit and what's going to be the highest impact.
This isn't the first time we've seen ESXi done either.
No, it happens all the time.
All the time.
Yeah. Now it's going to be, we don't need to find the LOLBAS. We just use the frontier model to get in the front door, use the model to go and find all the ESXi hosts, chain a bunch of exploits together. Once you find it, grab some creds because you found the password.xlsx file. Don't even need a privask, and then go and encrypt the ESXi server.
Or we just find out what servers aren't running the EDR, which we see again with your asset list as well. What servers aren't running CrowdStrike? What aren't running Defender?
A correlation tool to actually flag where you've got SIEM monitoring, EDR monitoring, vulnerability scanning, your RMM tools, all of that sort of thing is so critical. It's gone so far beyond a CMDB. You, as a cybersecurity person in an organization, need to be able to hand on heart say you've got coverage everywhere.
We had an engagement a couple months ago now where the domain controllers didn't have EDR. And the reason why, and we were like talking to their head of IT, and he's like, the reason why is because we had an independent third-party security person come in a year ago, and they told us, do not install EDR on your domain controllers because it'll impact performance.
Oh boy.
Yeah. I mean, and that's...
And now going back to Nick's point, when you got your MSP coming in to advise you on security, domain controllers need an EDR.
Is the MSP then saying no because they don't want to take the CPU compute hit on an environment they're hosting and have to pay the back end?
Bang on. And this is why people are probably sitting there going, oh, they're saying it again just because they want to make money. Don't have your MSP doing cyber. There's a direct conflict.
Yep.
If you're maintaining it and you're responsible for uptime and you're also responsible for securing the thing, it directly conflicts.
Yep.
Are you going to tell the client that they have a critical patch or a critical vulnerability that isn't patched for 42 days because we can't patch it because of XYZ, or you haven't paid us to do that patching?
You haven't paid us. That's the killer.
You haven't paid us.
Yeah.
Whereas the cybersecurity experts and the independents is going to say, you've got a patch missing just there.
Yeah.
So it's a direct conflict. So basically what we're saying with these frontier models is, what I'm hearing, nothing really changes.
And it's going to help realize the risk. That's it. It's just going to speed things up. It's going to make it more tangible, but really it's exactly the same.
So do the basics is what we're saying.
Basics, cyber hygiene, resilience.
There's a wonderful tool, and I'm going to mention tools. We're not meant to be mentioning tools. There's two. Velociraptor, number one.
Love it.
Love
so
it.
good.
We know we love it. Roll Velo out everywhere. It's open source. Media collection response. It just makes sense to have everywhere. But the other one, Brad, is Run Zero.
I wasn't going to mention it earlier, but it's it's the one in the back of my mind.
HD Moore, literally, pretty sure he wrote it.
Yeah.
Legend of the industry.
Yep.
I'm not a tool guy. Run Zero, massive, should be used.
Yep.
We've proposed it in so many organizations that just go, no, should be right.
Yep.
And it does asset discovery, and it will tell you where your SIEM agent is not and your EDR agent is not.
Yep.
It's built your CMDB.
It's absolutely gold.
It is. Yep.
It's wonderful.
And these are the things that, if done properly, yes, there's a cost involved. I mean, Velo, like any good dinosaur, is open source. But Run Zero, there's a cost involved with Run Zero, but it's going to save you on the back end.
Mm.
Look, absolutely. And there's, again, more tools out there. External attack surface management, the asset note guys. I've known them, but they're Aussies, fantastic guys. They're doing this because they've got a passion for it. The Watchtower guys to do external attack surface management. Wonderful guys. They're continually sitting there popping these enterprise organizations. They'll go and grab a free trial. They'll go through it. They'll find it. And they'll find these things. But then they'll go and tell the clients about these things that are there. And they'll inform the community. Again, these tools are available. So we're saying for these frontier models, know what you've got from an external perspective, run vulnerability scanning, patch your things.
Yep.
They're critical, right? Protect the edge.
Yep.
But then from the edge, make sure, again, we're patching. We know what our red, amber, green assets are. We know where our data is. Put in DLP, put in IDAM. A policy and an instant response plan, sorry, Craig, is not going to protect you from a frontier model.
No.
So it's get the basics right that we've been asking organizations. Again, am I wrong?
No.
Knowledge is power. You need to know what's in your environment. Like when we're brought in to do engagements and we're trying to roll out tooling and try and contain things, we really want to amputate, sever the threat actor's connection into the environment. And if we are working off a list that says there's 20 servers in here and we've rolled out our tooling and we've, contained 20 servers, but there's 40, it makes it very hard. So if you know what's in your environment, you're able to really protect yourself a lot.
We've talked a lot today about Mythos and frontier models. And if you've gotten this far, through Cybeers, it's pretty much already 40 minutes of us talking about this. So we're going to be having a lot of resources out there around how to protect your organization against these frontier models. We can only get so far in an episode of Cybeers, but if you've joined us for this far, thank you very much and cheers. Cheers, gentlemen.
Cheers.
Cheers. Thank you.